guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Fifi. It's so nice to have you here. I hope you stay a while. Today we are going to be doing our February 24-hour readathon. I decided earlier this year that I would try to film a readathon every single month of the year, and yeah, we're at the second month and I guess we can say it's going well so far. Honestly, I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to keep this up because it's kind of crazy and I do have like a lot of things coming up, but here we are. I usually take like a couple of days to film these readathons because I only like click the timer when I'm actually reading, so that can like range from 1 day to 3 days, sometimes even 4 to 5 days. But for this one, I'm going to set the timer and I'm just going to try my hardest to read as much as I can within that timer. Okay, I'm going to try my hardest to not pause it at all, except I'm away for like an extended period of time. Maybe I fall asleep, or you know, I'm doing something that is taking longer than 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'll pause it so I don't just waste the time. But I really do want to try and do this in 24 hours or like a little bit more than 24 hours. I feel like I can do it. I have some downtime for the next few days and I am currently in a good huge reading mode. I haven't been in a huge reading mode in like 2 weeks. I read Haunting Adeline. That video is probably up by the time you're seeing this one, so go check it out. But that book puts me in a huge reading slump. Like I could not read for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks is probably not that much for a lot of people, but for me it was the longest I've gone without reading for like months, like almost 6 months. So yeah, I would just like to read as much as possible in these next few days. So let's just get right into it. I think I'm going to use the stopwatch rather than the timer, so I will know how much time I have gone through instead of how much time I have left, because I feel like that can really hinder me. I know my iPad screen is dirty, don't mind that, like let's not even talk about it. But we are going to start the stopwatch right now. Clock is ticking. Let's get into it. The first book I would like to read is this book, The Stormcrow by Kaylin Josephson. I did read the blurb, but I thought maybe we would read the prologue together before I give you guys a bit of a synopsis and like initial thoughts and opinions. It's literally so pretty, like hello. I love a good map. Love it. Second page in, now we've been introduced to the crows, and apparently these crows are like huge creatures. Like they're not normal small baby crows, stuff like that. They're like actual creatures that you can ride and can do their own thing. It's like I did not expect that for some reason, but that's kind of interesting. Apparently the crows are like the main magical element of this world, so that's very intriguing. We already have women loving women. We already have LGBTQ representation. Okay, I did not expect that. Like, here for it. The people in this kingdom are dark skinned. I mean, I should have guessed from the cover, but like I did not know it to be this apparent. I feel like I haven't read a book that is so obviously and intentionally being inclusive. Like we've gotten to LGBTQ, women loving women specifically, references, and they're dark-skinned people. I don't know, I wasn't really expecting this, but I am truly here for it. Like so incredibly sad. I immediately need to like check out fan art for this book because I need to know what these crows look like in real life, because I'm trying to envision it in my head, but I feel like I'm not getting it exactly right. Wait, what is wrong with... So like they were being attacked by people from another kingdom. Like they're actively being attacked, and this girl just like, I guess out of shock, fell on the floor and literally refused to stand up. Like her best friend is like, come on, we have to get going, we have to get going, like move, come on, we need to go. She's just there on the floor. Obviously it could definitely be a situation of pure shock, like just not being able to do literally anything because you're in such a state of shock. But like really, you're putting your best friend's life in danger at this point because she's now trying to protect you, and it's like, come on, just come on. I really hope this isn't a situation where the FMC is kind of annoying and dumb and weak and just does the most annoying things ever, because I have read a good number of books where the FMC is annoying, like insufferable, infuriating. Like, she just does things that upset for no reason. Like, why are you doing this? I hope this is not that type of situation, because I was really excited for this book, and I still am. I'm not going to let this one thing, you know, deter me. But yeah, I'm praying that she shows her strength a little bit. Apparently she's 17, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, obviously it's a YA fantasy, so she has to be 17. There's literally no other age that she could be but 17. I've just gotten to chapter 1, and I think I can give a synopsis, like a rough synopsis. This book is basically about Princess Anthea. She has gotten to the point where she is able to pick out her own personal crow, because apparently people get to pick out their crows when they become of age. And yeah, there's this whole festival thing that happens, and after it there's like the choosing or whatever, where you pick out your crow or your crow chooses you. I don't really know, but yeah, it gets to this particular day, she's very excited, blah blah blah, but then they get attacked by a neighboring kingdom that is much stronger than them, and they kill basically all the crows. Like, the crows is the main part of this kingdom, that's what makes them really strong, and this kingdom completely kills all the crows, and even kills Anthea's mother, you know, burn her even. Like, things just fall apart essentially. And so in the blurb it says she like enters into a state of depression until her sister Cariza, who becomes the queen because their mother died obviously, she's then forced to agree to a marriage between Anthea and the crown prince of Eleusia, which is the kingdom that attacked them. So like, I'm guessing there's an enemies to lover situation, forced marriage situation. But then there's a whole thing of them stumbling upon a hidden crow egg, and they try to figure out how to start a rebellion against this kingdom and just overtake them. I don't really know, obviously, but I am going to like actually start reading now, and I will let you guys know whatever happens. There are always rumors about the prince. Like, once the girl is getting forced to marry the prince of another kingdom, it's always, have you heard the rumors about him? He's like this horrible person. And then when when she actually meets him and gets to know him, it's like, oh, he actually didn't do anything, he's actually protecting. I feel like I can see where this is going, and I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it's kind of tropey at the moment, so yeah, I'm not quite sure. Hey guys, it's 11 a.m. the next day, and we have made it 5 hours in. I fell asleep last night around 4 a.m. after watching the Super Bowl, which was amazing, by the way. Like, Kendrick really killed it. I've been seeing people say it's like boring or whatever. You're just very much uncultured, and that's okay, but maybe you should sit this one out. Like, I don't want to hear it. I feel like those are the same people that claim Beyonce did not deserve the Grammy, and if that's you, I don't trust you. I don't like you. But yeah, I made it to chapter 9 of this book, page 101, and I feel like I should have gone further than this. I don't know, I feel like I'm reading quite slower than I usually do. But then I also started an audiobook for a different book, which we'll get into later on. But yeah, I guess we are on track. I just feel like I've been quite slow reading this book. When it comes to this book, I really don't know how I feel. Like, I like it, I think, but it just feels like nothing is actually happening. Like, obviously things are being set up, blah blah blah, but I just want a little bit more. I don't even know what exactly it is I want more of, but I want more, and I'm not getting that at the moment, and it's kind of pissing me off. The writing is also a bit info dumpy and a tad redundant. I feel like in every sentence I'm getting so much information, and it's like so many words that I don't feel unnecessary or should be in just one sentence, if you know what I mean. And then I'm getting that same piece of information in a different paragraph, like one chapter later, and it's like, okay, I heard you the first time. Yeah, I am liking it, I will say that, and I think the writing is pretty good. It's not necessarily poetic or flowery, lyrical, anything like that. I mean, I guess it is quite lyrical, but it's also straightforward. It's not going to be hard to get into at all. It's not going to be hard to read. There's some really nice one-liners here that I quite appreciate and enjoy. I just really want more from the plot at the moment, because this is a duology. So I feel like it's not a situation where you have to build things up and build things up when it's like a series, like a 3-book series or a 5-book series. It's just 2 books in this series, so I need a little bit more action. Also, with the romance, I'm not quite sure yet that the prince is actually the love interest. I feel like they've given us some hints, but they also don't really feel like hints. I think it's just my romantasy brain gaslighting me into thinking they are going to be like in love later on in this book. They've just been quite mean to each other, but I guess that's about to change. I do hope it's not like an insta love situation where they go straight from being mean to each other and hateful towards each other, like enemies, to just instant lovers. And I don't know, I don't really love when that happens. I want a bit more of a slow burn, as I said when I started this book. But yeah, I'm obviously going to keep reading. I don't have any like bad thoughts about it per se. I just want more, as I've said. But I also started another book. I actually started an audiobook of this book, Divinerivals by Rebecca Ross. This is a very, very popular book, a very popular TikTok. I don't want to call it a TikTok book because I don't think it's like a TikTok book per se, but it's been getting so much hype on TikTok for the last 2 years, I want to say. And yeah, it's basically about this girl called Iris who had a brother. I think he's a twin, I'm not quite sure, but one day he gets deployed to go and fight in this war for the gods or whatever. So he's fighting for this particular goddess, and he leaves her. She obviously takes that very hard because now she is alone with her mother, who is a deadbeat basically, and is just constantly drinking, blah blah blah. She drops out of school because, like I said, her mother is a deadbeat. They can't really afford it. She starts working in this publishing house. She has a rival there called Kate, and they are both vying for this position, this columnist position, that obviously will earn her more. They are rivals because he was just so dismissive towards her and a bit classist towards her, because he found out that she dropped out of school. He was like, yeah, I don't really, she's not any competition, like she dropped out of school, she's not going to do anything or cause any harm for me when it comes to this job. And they just basically hate each other. I don't want to say hate, but they really dislike each other, and they are like jabbing at each other. But then one day, out of annoyance, she writes this letter to her brother, which is quite mean. And just her saying, why did you leave us, blah blah blah, you left me and now I'm out of school and things are not going well. But she did not actually intend to send it. She just kept it in this wardrobe that her and her brother used to share when they were living together. But then the next day she comes and sees that the letter has disappeared, and she writes another letter. The same thing happens, it disappears into this wardrobe, and now she's like, what the hell is going on? The next day she gets a letter back saying, this isn't Forrest is her brother, by the way. So now she has gotten a letter from this mysterious person, and I am at the point where she obviously wants to figure out who is sending this letter and what has happened to her brother, because there are also rumors about, you know, monsters being in the place that her brother is fighting, and you know, she's scared that her brother has been injured or killed. Yeah, I would say I'm really liking the writing. It's very not poetic per se, but very lyrical and very intentional. Obviously, I haven't been actually reading it, I've been listening to the audiobook, and I really do like the audiobook because the person narrating has a British accent and it's giving me Regency vibes. It's making the book feel like it has Regency vibes, even though I'm not sure it actually does. And yeah, I'm just really liking the writing. It's flowery without being flowery, poetic without being poetic. It's still very much straightforward, but still like very intuitive, if you know what I mean. As far as the plot goes, I am just 10% into it, chapter 3, and so obviously not much has happened. Like I said, we just got to the point where she's trying to figure out who exactly wrote her this letter, and yeah, I guess things will soon start to unfold and unravel, but right now nothing really has happened for me to give any actual thoughts about the plot. But I am liking the writing, and I do think I will enjoy this book if it goes the way that I think is going. Obviously, there's going to be a romance situation with her and her rival kids, and I do want to see how that unfolds, and I hope it's done well. I hope it's not an insta-love situation. I hate insta-love, I really do. I need yearning, I need slow burn, I need like wanting. So I do hope that is the case. This book is also a duology, if I'm not mistaken. I've just been starting series, but at least they're duologies. That's what I'm using to, defend myself. They're just duologies when I should be finishing the series that I already started. Don't come for me. But yeah, I'm going to get back into reading. When I cannot read, I'm going to listen to the audiobook of the other book, so I spend my time wisely and I do read within these 24 hours. And yeah, that's all I have for you right now. I will see you when I see you. Hey guys, I had to film like 2 videos, so I paused the timer to do just that. I spent like an hour doing that, and I made it this far into this book. I definitely think I can finish this in the next 1 to 3 hours. If I lock in, I can finish it like 1.5 hours. I will say, to be honest, nothing still has actually happened. I do get it, obviously, that things are being set up, blah blah blah, and most likely the next book is going to be very much action-packed and fast-paced, but I just wish that we would get a little bit more with this book. Okay, I really like the writing. As I've said, I'm quite enjoying the writing, and the world is interesting to me. The world building isn't anything too intricate. It is well-rounded but clear and understandable, and I am quite liking the world. I just feel like there's something missing, and I can't really place my finger on it just yet. I do like the FMC. I'm not going to lie, she doesn't have too much of a personality, and she just seems very weak right now. I was starting to like the main character, the prince, who was supposed to be the love interest, but for some reason we were introduced to another person that seems to be another love interest. So like there might be a love triangle type thing going on. I don't even know, and it just upset me because I was starting to like the prince, and now we have this other guy that we are basically being forced to like there have been some banter type moments between them, and I guess it's cute, but like I don't want him. Like, I want her to keep building her whatever it is that is happening between her and the prince, because they were starting to hit it all. They were starting to understand each other and level with each other, and all of a sudden this guy just pops in from nowhere, and she's like, oh, he makes me feel a type of way. Like, what way? He just got here. He's quite charming, I guess, for a nerd, but he also seems very sus. Like, I feel he has something up his sleeve that we might find out soon, possibly, but I just don't feel like that was necessary. I guess it was important to some part of the plot, but like I don't feel it was necessary to make him a romantic interest in the way that it seems as this author is making him. But yeah, the book is going okay so far. I just wish I would get more. I'm going to keep reading though. I'm pretty sure the next time I talk to you guys, I would have finished this book, so I will give my final thoughts and opinions. But right now, it's definitely not a 5-star. and it's like vying between a 3.5 and a 4 star. So I guess the ending of this will really let me know what exactly and where exactly it falls. Yeah, I'm going to get back into it, and I will see you guys when I see you. Hi guys, we got 14 hours on the timer, and I have in fact finished this book. I actually finished it like a little while ago, and I just wanted to like ruminate and settle on what I actually thought on this book. I did really like it. I will say that I really did enjoy the writing. I thought it was pretty good. Nothing too deep or flowery or lyrical, but it was intentional, it was clear, it was inspired, and I did quite enjoy it. I also really enjoyed the world. It's nothing too deep once again, nothing too intricate, but it was still quite fleshed out, like very much fleshed out and understandable. I do have some things that I did not quite like about this book. The first one being the FMC. Okay, I didn't hate her by any means, like she's not in that realm of FMCs that I just completely hate and detest. I quite enjoyed her most of the time, but then she just started getting really annoying. I feel like she's very weak, and yeah, like there was a whole thing with her being depressed, and that would explain a lot of the weakness, but I just felt like she was basically nothing in this book. Like I don't know how to even explain it, because yes, she had personality, yes, she had character, but then they would tell us one thing and she would do basically the other thing, and she literally showed no atom of power or character when she actually needed to. But when she didn't need to, she would just come for people that didn't need to be attacked as like a show of power. And it's just like, girl, no, like when you actually need to do something, you didn't do anything, and now you're here trying to show that you're strong. Like it's just, I don't really know if I'm explaining it correctly or well enough, but yeah, there were just some things that ticked me off about her, but I did quite like her. She was not too annoying, or as annoying as a lot of, you know, fantasy romance FMCs are. And I do think in the next book she's going to show her strength, her power, her will, her drive a lot more, and I actually can't wait for that. Another thing I did not like about this book was the romance. Okay, I do get that this author was trying to do something different, because when you're starting this book, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be, you know, in the way fantasy romances are, where, you know, a certain thing, I don't want to spoil it, so I'm being vague, but like you expect a certain person to be the love interest, and then somebody just comes in from literally nowhere, and she just now is basically in love with him. Like they barely knew each other for a month, and now she's like, oh, he makes me feel so this, he makes me, like, who even is this person? I feel like the author was just trying to make me love this character that I didn't even know. Like we know actually not much about him, and I don't know, I just did not connect with him, and she really stuck to that whole plot line for the rest of the book, and I was like, oh, like I genuinely thought this was like a situation of, I mean, I don't want to spoil it once again, but I thought something would happen that would make it make sense, but like she was really like standing by her decision with that, and I was like, okay, but it just did not resonate with me. I just did not like it very much, unfortunately. But all in all, I really did enjoy this book. I thought it was a really nicely written book, and I genuinely cannot wait for the next book. It is a duology. I don't know if I've said that. I cannot wait to read the next book. Also, the fact that this is this author's debut, that's kind of insane. She actually went really hard. Like, I'm very proud of her. It's a really good book for a debut, and I cannot wait to explore more of her discography. I feel like she has the potential to be an incredible author, and one of my favorite authors, even if she just increasingly got better. So yeah, that's that about this book. I think I decided to give it a 3.5. I think we're going to settle on 3.5 because I did like it. There were just some things I would have preferred to happen that did not happen, and some things I would have preferred to not happen that did happen, and I just ended up wanting more. I just did not feel very satisfied by the end of this book. Then, Divinerivals, I was listening to the audiobook in tandem to reading the ebook on my iPad, and tell me why I'm actually like really obsessed right now. I knew I was going to like this book, like everything about it was really speaking to me, but I don't think I would like it as much as I currently am liking it. You know, obviously something can still go wrong, but it's looking like a 4 star, 4.5 star, maybe even a 5 star. Like if it just continues to go as well as it currently is and wraps up nicely or nice enough. I really think it could be a 4.5 5 star. I really do like the FMC. She's not annoying. She's very strong-willed, determined, and she actually has something going for her. Like her whole thing with this publishing industry and her really wanting to make it in the industry is just so very important to me, because I feel in fantasy romance books, the FMC really doesn't have much going for her except, the general plot and then the romance that she's supposedly involved in. So I really do like that she has her own life separate from the romance, and then the plot, and then the other subplots with her brother, and then the other subplots with this whole wardrobe that is magical. Like, it's just actually very intricate, I feel, and very well fleshed out. I also really like the writing. And the audiobook, I love the audiobook. So yeah, I have no bad thoughts or bad things to say about this book right now. I really cannot wait to see how everything unravels and unfolds and wraps up. There is a second book. I'm pretty sure this is a duology, so there might be a cliffhanger of sorts in this one. And I've also heard people don't like the second book as much as the first book, so that might upset me, because I want to try and get into the second book almost immediately after this book. So yeah, I'm going to keep at it. It's currently almost 12 a.m. and yeah, I'll see you guys when I see you, and I'll let you know whatever happens. Hey guys, I have come with another update. I finished divinerivals. I actually finished it like about an hour ago, and I started another book. We'll get into that, but I just wanted to give my thoughts about divinerivals. I freaking love that book. Like, I am so insanely obsessed. The love story, so freaking beautiful, and that ending, so freaking sad, and just like, why? Like, I really love how our main character Iris had a life of her own outside of this romance and outside of this romantic relationship and this love story. She really was doing her own thing. Like, this book follows her starting at this publishing house where she has a rival, Kit. So they are both vying for this particular position of columnist, and obviously she really wants to get it because she wants to get her money up. Life is really hard for her and her mom. Her brother has kind of left them to go and fight in this war, and she's also grappling with that fact, because like, why would you just leave us to go and fight for this goddess that hasn't really done anything for us? But then something happens. Obviously I don't want to spoil it, but she goes to the warpath. Like, she basically goes as a journalist. I've forgotten the actual word they use. There's a specific word they use. I cannot remember it right now. But she goes as a journalist, neutral in the whole war, just saying things as they are. She's helping people out in this little town that she has found herself in. And I also love the found family situation in this book. It wasn't too much, but like, I love this so much. It was so cute. It really showed, female friendship a little bit. But then something else happens, and Kit joins her in this place as a journalist too, and it just blooms. Obviously I don't want to spoil it once again, because I really think if you're going to read this book, you need to go into it basically like none the wiser about any actual plot lines. But it was so freaking good. I love the war scenes. Obviously I didn't love it, like horrible things were happening and it was quite sad, but I love just how it was depicted, and I loved how action-packed, especially the last 10 chapters. It was so freaking action-packed. So many things were happening, both with the plot of the war and the plot with her brother and the plot with this romance with Kit, and like, I love this so much. I was literally almost brought to tears at the end, and I didn't even expect that, but also I was kicking my feet, I was giggling. Like, I really feel like I had the time of my life with this book. And once again, I do think the audiobook was just so incredibly spectacular. The book itself is not set in Regency era, I don't think. It was kind of more modern, not like 2000s or something modern, but like maybe 1930s, 40s. I don't know. Obviously there are no phones, they use typewriter, but they also reference baseball and more modern things. So I don't really know when exactly it would be set in, but the audiobook was narrated by this British person, I guess, and it just gave it a vibe that I genuinely really loved. I will say the world building of this book was not the best thing ever. It didn't really make too much sense in my opinion, but honestly I did not care. Like, this book just gave me everything I wanted. And the writing was so freaking good, the plot was so freaking good, the pacing was amazing. I just really loved this book, and honestly it's giving 5-star feelings. I don't know, I feel like I want to be strict with my 5 stars, but I also want to like be less strict. Like, I don't want to be too what's the word, like strict I guess, but like I want to start like basing my ratings on vibes and feels rather than, you know, the actual literature and actual prose. Even though the prose of this book was really good in my opinion, better than I expected. Like, BookTok really ate with this one, I'm not going to lie. I just really liked it, and it is giving 5-star feelings right now, but I guess we'll see, you will know, because I'll put it on the screen when I'm editing. But I really genuinely loved it. So I started Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Caraval series, and it is based on one of the two sisters, Tella. And apparently there's like another Caraval game situation, but also she's trying to figure out who took her mother. And there's also a situation with the Prince of Hearts, which I also heard we see in the Body series. There's like another series that this author wrote that kind of goes hand in hand with this series, Once Upon a Broken Heart. And apparently the Prince of Hearts is basically the main character in that series, but he is introduced in this book. So I'm very intrigued and interested. I've always been very intrigued by Tella. I read the first Caraval book in December and I really liked it. I think I gave it 3.5 or 3.75. Tella was quite annoying in that book, but I really wanted to see more about her. I wanted to kind of dive into her personality and see why she acts the way that she acts, and just, you know, I just wanted more on her story, and I'm really glad that we get that on this book. I don't even know why I decided to read this book. I just saw it and I was like, okay, yeah. So I started the ebook. I'm currently on chapter 3. I don't know if you can see that, and that's like 8% if I'm not mistaken, 7% into it, and yeah, it's going well. I have no actual thoughts about the book right now. The writing I think is okay. One of my qualms about the first Caraval book that I read in December was that the writing was kind of pretentious and just overly flowery. There were also typographical errors, so that was a problem in itself. But I think this one is more straightforward, maybe because Stella is not really, you know, as in her head as Scarlett, the FMC of the first book. I have no actual thoughts, like I said, but I am very intrigued and excited to dive into this book. We are looking at 17 hours on the clock, and we have about like 6 hours and 30 minutes. So yeah, I think I will be able to finish this book in the next 6 hours. So I'm just going to keep doing that, and I will see you guys when I see you, or when I have anything to update you on. We have 22 hours and 26 minutes left, and I have gotten 73% into Legendary by Stephanie Garber, and oh my god, I did not expect to love this book as much as I am. As I've said, I read the first book and I thought it was cute, I thought it was okay. It was a good book for what it was, I guess. I gave it 3.75 if I'm not mistaken. But like, this book is really blowing that one out the park. Is that the saying? Out of the water? Whatever. I am just really resonating with this book, and I think it's because of the main character, the FMC, Donatella. She is one of the two sisters. We followed Scarlett in the first book, but we are following Donatella in this book. And honestly, I love Donatella because she has so much personality, way more than Scarlett had. Like, Scarlett was almost bland, like she was nearing bland territory. Like, she didn't really have much going for her, you know, with her character and her personality. She was just like the shy, over serious, overzealous girl, I guess, and that just was kind of boring to me, I feel, because she was just letting things happen to her rather than taking control where she could have. And Donatella is just the complete opposite. She wants to do anything to have an experience. Okay, she loves adventures. She loves, you know, having things happen to her and finding a way out of them. She loves being in control. She's very strong-willed, very sharp-witted, sharp-mouthed, and I just love that about her because it's really giving me the drama that I see. There's so much going on in this book. Obviously, I don't want to tell you too much about the synopsis or the plot, so I don't spoil the first book if you haven't read it. But I will say we have another caraval game, okay? And this is happening faster than people expected because usually it's every year, it's annually that we have the caraval games. And this time around, it's literally just 1 week after the last game. Okay, and everybody's wondering, you know, what's going on? Why is it so quick? Why is it so rushed? Nobody really knows, but obviously people are still ready to join, and so is Donatella. She joins the game obviously because she wants adventure, but also she has this whole thing she wants to find out and figure out concerning her mother's disappearance. And then we have another subplot of romance with this guy called Dante, and he's also like helping the plot with her mother and with the caraval games. Like, there's so much happening and so much intertwined, and honestly it is giving me life, especially the romance aspect. Dante I actually kind of hated him at first. He was a bit snobbish and full of himself at first. But then he grew on me, and I am just craving every scene with the two of them because every little scene we have with both of them has me giggling and kicking my feet. And I'm like, oh, okay, I did not expect that. Okay, Stephanie Garba, you're cooking here. Like, you might actually have done something. I am just really liking the romance, and I'm really liking the book in general. I love the plot. I love how fast-paced it is. Even without it actually being fast-paced, it just seems very go, go, go. Currently, this book is looking at like a 4-star, 4.5. I'm just really, really liking it, and I cannot wait to see how everything unfolds and wraps up in the end. So yeah, like I said, we have about 1 hour and 30 minutes left. And obviously I don't think I can read the rest of this book within that time frame. I have just 27% left, and I think I can do it if I rush, like if I log in, but I don't want to rush this book. I really don't, especially because the world reading of this book is very interesting. There's a lot going on with the names and the things that you have to remember. There's so many characters and objects that have different names, and like it's just a lot sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, oh wait, when did this happen? Who is this? Like, that's kind of the vibe. Okay, there's so much going on, and I don't think I can rush it the way that I would if I wanted to actually meet up with this time. And also, I don't want to leave you guys on a cliffhanger without giving you final thoughts and opinions on this book. So I will be reading it until I finish it. Even if we meet the timer and pass the timer, I will still read on until I finish, so I can come and give you guys the final thoughts and my rating. Okay, so let's go ahead and do just that. Chapter 31. Finished Legendary by Stephanie Garba, and that was a really, really good book. I really enjoyed that book way more than I thought I would. I've said this before, but I just did not expect this book to grab my attention and pique my interest and just resonate with me the way that it did. And I am honestly glad of it. You know, I love the characters, I love the plotting, I love the pacing, the romance. Like, it was so freaking good, and it was such a step up from the first book. While I did not like enjoy the first book to the fullest extent, I was still obviously going to continue the series because I have a hard time not continuing series. But this book actually has made me genuinely excited to get into the third and final book in the trilogy, and that's all there is to say about it. I'm really excited to do that, but I'm also really excited to go to bed. I decided on a 4.25 for this book because yeah, it was great, but it just didn't give 5-star. I really couldn't tell you exactly why, but it just feels like a 4.25. book, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm going to settle on. But that obviously brings us to the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for supporting, all of that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you've read any of these books, if you want to read any of these books. If you also want to like recommend books for me to read, go right ahead. I'm always down. And yeah, make sure you follow me on Instagram if you want to be book besties or just besties in general. I would really appreciate that and love that. But for now, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.